Welcome to a new video. Today we want to talk about defibrillation using the corpuls1.
Defibrillation refers to an unsynchronized shock administered during a malignant heart arrhythmia, such as ventricular fibrillation or pulseless ventricular tachycardia.
To deliver the shock, we use the corpuls1 either in AED mode, but only from an age of 12 months, or in manual mode. We also need some other equipment, such as adhesive electrodes in the form of core patch easy electrodes, shock paddles, possibly with the adapters for the shock paddles, or shock spoons.
In this case, the corpuls1 started in monitoring mode. Before starting therapy, we need to prepare the patient. This includes making sure the upper body is fully unclothed, hair-free, and dry. Verena, could you now position the electrodes, please? The first electrode goes below the collarbone, on the right of the chest. For the second electrode, we make sure to position it laterally, below the armpit. We need to make sure that there are no air pockets. Once the patient is prepared, we can access AED mode by pressing the defib key.
Start analysis.
We are now prompted to press the Analyze key. After that, the device analyzes the heart rhythm. And if a shock recommendation is positive, we are instructed to begin pre-shock CPR. If this has been configured by the operator in advance. At the same time, the device begins the charging process. After completing pre-shock CPR and the charging process, we are prompted to deliver the shock. We do this by holding down the shock key.
Do not touch or move patient.
It is important here not to touch the patient to avoid artifacts.
Deliver shock. Shock performed.
After delivering the shock, continue with chest compressions. If the corpuls1 does not detect a shockable rhythm during the analysis, chest compressions can immediately be resumed.
Now we want to show you defibrillation with the corpuls1 in manual mode. To access manual mode, the operator can configure different settings. How to do this on your device on site would have been covered in your training. It may also be necessary to enter an access code. On our device here, we access manual mode by pressing the defib key twice and confirming the change to manual mode with OK.
Start analysis.
The preparation of the patient, as well as the placement of the therapy electrodes, is exactly the same as the AED mode. In manual mode, however, we now have to decide ourselves whether the heart rhythm present requires defibrillation or not. For an experienced user, this can provide a time advantage. If we decide on defibrillation, we must also choose how much energy we want to set for the defibrillation. To change the preset energy, we press the soft key, Energy. Now we can either change it by pressing the two arrow keys and confirming with OK, or by pressing the soft key, Energy, again, and selecting one of the preset levels. To provide the energy, we press the soft key, Charge. To then deliver the shock, we need to hold down the shock key. If a shock is ready to be delivered, but is not delivered within 30 seconds, the device will discharge it internally. In manual mode, you also have the option to cancel the shock delivery by pressing the soft key, Cancel. With the soft key sync, you can also change the synchronization mode. For defibrillation, only autosync or async are relevant here. The special feature for autosync is that the corpuls1 will try for 1 second to deliver a synchronized shock. However, if it doesn't find a QRS complex, it will automatically deliver an unsynchronized shock. Therefore, this mode is only approved for defibrillation. With the soft key metronome, you also have the option to turn off the metronome or select one of the various metronome patterns. You can switch back to monitoring mode using the soft key, Monitor. The display on the hourglass here at the top shows you how long you've been in therapy mode. Below, you can see the number of shocks delivered. as well as the amount of time since the last shock was delivered.
A prerequisite for delivering a shock is that the impedance is neither too high nor too low. Possible causes of low impedance can include a sweaty or wet chest. In this case, dry the chest off. Another cause could be that the therapy electrodes are positioned too closely together. In this case, reposition them or separate them further. If the impedance is still too low, use new therapy electrodes. In contrast, thick chest hair, a very contaminated chest, incorrectly placed electrodes, or air pockets under the electrodes all lead to high impedance. The solution here is to clean the thorax, shave it, and reapply the therapy electrodes. In the middle of the red therapy field, you can see whether the impedance is too low, too high, or okay.
Ben, I'd say we should quickly summarise the key points. What do you think?
Yes, great.
First and foremost, resuscitation should be as uninterrupted as possible according to the current guidelines or local regulations. We can use the corpuls1 to assist us here, either in AED mode or manual mode. However, AED mode is only approved from 12 months of age up. And in manual mode, we must ensure that we select the correct synchronization method. In both modes, it is important that the therapy electrodes are optimally positioned. A way to optimize resuscitation even more is to use the Prime CPR feedback sensor, which you can find in a separate video. Please leave any questions, requests and suggestions in the comments. Feel free to hit the bell and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Goodbye, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Ciao!